What would it take for you to risk your own life to save someone else? It's a heavy question. Today, we're going to look at an old story about a deer whose extraordinary kindness answered that question and transformed an entire kingdom. Meet King Banyan deer. He led a herd of 500, and he was known for his deep gentleness. You could see it in how he carefully stepped around the smallest frogs and insects on the forest floor, always making sure the most vulnerable creatures were safe. Not far away lived another leader, Branch Deer. He also led a herd of 500. While he was respected and proud, holding his head high among his followers, he didn't share Banyan's deep concern for the smaller animals around him. Both golden deer were magnificent, yet their true character lay beneath those antlers. We're about to see how each leader handles the weight of a life or death choice. The trouble began with the local human ruler, the king of Benares. He loved to hunt so much that he constantly forced the local villagers to drop their plows and help him track animals, leaving their own crops to wither and fail. Tired of losing their harvests, the villagers came up with a plan. They built a massive, walled park with ponds and trees. Then they surrounded the nearby forests, made a huge racket, and drove both herds inside, locking the gates so the king could hunt on his own time. Inside those walls, the deer faced daily terror. Every single day, the king or his cook would arrive. When the bows were drawn and the hunter's arrows flew, the entire herd would scatter in a wild panic, resulting in terrible injuries and agonizing pain for dozens of animals. If someone you loved was trapped in a scary, chaotic situation like this, what would you do to help them? For these deer, the stone walls were only part of the trap. The real prison was the constant, unpredictable dread of not knowing who would be hurt next. They were entirely paralyzed by fear. Seeing his family and friends suffering, King Banyan Deer knew he had to do something. He called both herds together, calming them down, and proposed a difficult but necessary plan to the other leader, Branch Deer. This diagram shows exactly how Banyan's idea worked to stop the chaos. Instead of everyone running in a blind panic every time a human arrived, the deer would organize a lottery. Each day, one single deer would willingly step forward and offer their life. Branch Deer agreed. From that day on, the wild stampedes ended. When the cook arrived, the chosen deer would simply walk to the chopping block and peacefully accept their fate, knowing their sacrifice was keeping hundreds of others safe from injury. It was a grim choice, but sometimes leading a group means making the hardest possible decisions to organize a painful reality, protecting the majority from even greater suffering. But this system soon hit a heartbreaking flaw. One afternoon, the lottery selected a doe from Branch Deer's herd, and she was pregnant. Desperate, the mother doe went to her leader, Branch Deer, crying. She begged him to let her skip her turn just until her fawn was born. She was willing to die, but she couldn't bear to let her unborn baby perish with her. Branch Deer refused to listen. He coldly turned his back on her, telling her the rules were the rules, and he would not change the lottery system for one single deer. With nowhere else to turn, the terrified mother went to King Banyan Deer. He looked at her with deep kindness, felt her pain as if it were his own, and told her to go in peace. He would solve the problem. To save her, King Banyan Deer walked straight to the stone execution block. He didn't pick another deer to take her place. Instead, the golden king of the herd laid his own neck down. Take a moment and think about this. Why would a powerful king, who was already guaranteed safety by the humans, choose to put himself on that block for someone else? The story reveals the weight of that choice. Branch Deer stayed committed to the logic of the lottery. Banyan Deer, however, recognized a moment where kindness mattered more than the rules, and he walked to the block to prove it. When the royal cook arrived to collect the day's meat, he froze. Seeing the magnificent golden deer waiting on the block, he dropped his knife in absolute shock and sprinted back to the palace. The king of Benares rushed to the park, completely confused. He had specifically promised this beautiful golden deer immunity. He demanded to know why Banyan was offering himself up for dinner. Without raising his head, Banyan deer explained it had been a pregnant doe's turn to die. He could not bear to let an innocent mother and her unborn baby perish, nor force another deer to take her place, so he took her pain himself. Hearing this, the powerful human king was overwhelmed. Tears welled up in his eyes. In all his life, surrounded by wealth and armies, he realized he had never witnessed such immense, selfless compassion. Have you ever seen a simple act of kindness completely change someone's mind or melt away their anger? That afternoon, a king who held the power of life and death over every creature in his land found himself humbled by a deer who asked for nothing but the safety of others. This diagram shows how Banyan's kindness quickly rippled outward. The king immediately spared the doe and Banyan, but the golden deer kept asking for more: safety for all the deer, all four-legged animals, the birds, and finally the fish. The king agreed to all of it. But soon a new problem arose. Knowing they were completely safe from hunters, the deer lost their fear of humans and began openly eating the villagers' crops. The humans complained to the king, but he refused to break his promise to Banyan. So Banyan stepped in with a peaceful solution. He firmly instructed the deer to stay out of the human fields, and he sent a message to the villagers to simply mark their boundaries by tying up bunches of leaves. It's a beautiful thought, isn't it? Finding ways for humans and the natural world to share the same space, respectfully and peacefully. The tied leaves worked, and the kingdom flourished. In the end, the story of the golden deer leaves us with a powerful truth. True greatness is never measured by physical power or control. It is measured by the courage to care for every living being. Because wherever it is found, compassion is a sign of greatness.